Hi, and welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith.
And I'm Rich Sommer. And in this video, we're going to learn the 2 to 10 player game Uno.
Designed by Merle Robbins and published by Mattel.
The players will sometimes treat the rules to Uno like suggestions, but here we're going to teach you the exact rules of the standard game.
And while I'm usually teaching alone, having Rich join me for Uno was a chance I could not pass up because you have a rather unique relationship with the game.
Well, I've always played games and everybody has played Uno, but Uno became a pretty significant part of my college life. My friend Andy and I would play Uno behind our backpacks in class. And then actually when we both graduated, he moved to Los Angeles and I moved to New York, and we would play correspondence Uno over email.
Say again?
Correspondence Uno.
What's that?
It's like, there used to be correspondence chess where people send postcards with chess moves on them. Well, we did it with Uno. We had 2 identically shuffled decks, shuffled by a third party and then numbered. And we would send emails like, I'm playing card 13, and then he would send me, it was before we had the ease of playing in some sort of a web app. Everybody plays correspondence Uno, isn't that a normal thing?
I don't know that they do, but I'll tell you something. That is a level of dedication that when you told me that story, I said, listen, you might not be the world's biggest Uno fan, you might be.
Maybe.
But you are certainly more than qualified to help teach the game. So join us at the table and let's learn how to play.
To set up, shuffle the cards into a face-down deck and have each person draw and reveal 1 card.
In this video, we're going to assume that we have 3 players.
The person who draws the card with the highest number will be the dealer, counting any cards showing a symbol as 0.
And if there's a tie for the highest value, those tied players will draw new cards until the tie is broken. So it looks like I'll be dealing.
The dealer now gathers and shuffles all the cards together again, dealing 7 to each player. These cards form the player's starting hands, and while you can examine your own cards, keep them a secret from the other players. Then when this step is finished, the rest of the deck is put face down in the center of the play area.
This is known as the draw pile. You now reveal and set its top card face up into what is known as the discard pile. And that's the setup.
In Uno, you're trying to be the first to get rid of all of your cards, because if you do, you'll score points for that game based on the cards your opponents are still holding. Then you reshuffle, start a new game, and you keep playing until someone reaches a total of 500 points, making them the winner.
Uno is played in turns, starting with the person seated to the left of the dealer, so that's you, and going in clockwise order around and around the table. On your turn, you may play a card from your hand if it matches the one showing on top of the discard pile. To match, a card you play must either be the same color or same number as the one showing there.
So on this yellow 4, I could play any yellow card I'm holding, no matter its value. Or I could play any 4 I have, no matter the color. I'll play this green 4. After playing a card, your turn is over, and the next player in clockwise order takes their turn. They now choose a card to play that matches either the color or the number of the new card here, so any 4 or any green in this case. Playing cards is good because it gets them out of your hand, and getting rid of all of your cards is what you're trying to do. But sometimes you may not have one that matches the color or the number showing on the discard pile.
Which is my problem right now. When you can't play a valid card, you must instead draw a single card from the top of the draw pile. Now, if that card can be played, you may choose to play it right away. And as soon as you do, your turn ends and the next player goes.
Now, if the card you drew was unplayable, just keep it in your hand and your turn ends immediately. Don't draw any more cards.
And just know, if you could have played it, you don't have to, if you don't want. And this is always true. Anytime it comes to your turn, even if you have a card you can play, you're allowed to not play it and just draw one instead.
This might seem strange since you're normally trying to get rid of cards, but as you'll see, you may not want to play a card you have. Maybe if you think it'll help an opponent get rid of their cards.
Exactly. Either way, after drawing a card, you can play the card you just drew, but only that one. You can't then decide to play one of the other cards that you're holding.
Now again, usually you will want to play a card when you can, but to be clear, you don't have to. Most of the cards in an Uno deck are made up of values from 0 to 9 in 4 different colors: blue, red, yellow, and green. But there are also action cards that have special effects when played, so let's see how each of them works.
This is a draw 2 cards action. It can only be played on a card that matches its color or on another draw 2 card. We'll say I have a green one and I play it on my turn. This causes the next person in the turn order to draw 2 cards, then their turn is skipped and the next player goes.
By the way, if the draw pile ever runs out and you need to draw a new card, take the discard pile, but leave its top card on the table. Shuffle the rest of it into a new face-down draw pile, and then keep drawing as necessary. Going back to the actions, this is known as the skip card. This can only be played on a card matching its color or on another skip card. And once played, the next person to go has their turn skipped, and the player after them takes a turn instead. Earlier we said that turns are taken in clockwise order, but that can change when this reverse card is played.
Like the other action cards, this can only be played on something matching its color or another reverse card. And after it's played, the order in which turns are taken reverses from whatever it was. So before playing the reverse card, the player seated to my left would have gone next, but now the player to my right goes, and it continues in that counterclockwise direction.
Until someone plays another reverse card, which then sends turns back in a clockwise direction again. Moving on, this is the wild card, and it can be played on top of any card at all.
The person who plays this then chooses any of the 4 colors.
Which can include the color of the card that was just covered up.
Right. Maybe I say yellow. Now, the next player must treat the wild as if it's a yellow card when they're taking their turn.
Now we come to the final type of action card, the wild draw 4.
You can play this on any card, and after, just like a regular wild, you pick a color for this card to represent. I'll say red, but then the next player in the turn order must draw 4 cards, and their turn is skipped, which means this player goes next, treating this as red.
But there's a catch. You can only play it if you don't have any cards in your hand that match the color of the card currently on top of the discard pile.
In this case, the top card is green, so I can only play this if I don't have a green card in my hand. And you only have to pay attention to the color. Even if you have a matching number card, you're still free to play a wild draw 4 on top.
But there's another catch. Nobody knows what's in your hand, right? So maybe you did have a green card when you played that wild draw 4.
Maybe. How would anyone know?
Well, they wouldn't. So technically you could try to play the wild draw 4 even if you had a green that you should be playing instead.
That's true. It's the one rule the game allows you to try to break. But there's one final catch. After playing a wild draw 4, the person I'd be forcing to draw 4 cards can challenge me.
They just say, challenge!
And now I have to show my hand. And if I did have a card in my hand matching the color that was on top of the discard pile, which, oops, I did, I still play the wild draw 4, and I declare a color for it. But now I have to draw 4 cards instead of my opponent.
Also, the person you tried to play this on does not skip their turn, so I would go as normal, treating this as the color that was chosen.
On the other hand, if I'm challenged and I show I did not have a colored card matching what was on the discard pile, the player who challenged me not only has to draw 4 cards and lose their turn, they also have to draw an extra 2 cards as a penalty for the failed challenge.
And those are all the special action cards, but we should quickly go over how their effects slightly change in a 2-player game. If you play a skip card, it means your opponent's turn is skipped, and since it's a 2-player game, it goes right back to your turn again. And a reverse works the same way. When you play a reverse, it acts like a skip card, so it's your turn one more time.
When playing a draw 2 card, your opponent draws 2 cards, and then you immediately take another turn. And last but not least, if you play a wild draw 4, you declare a color, your opponent draws 4 cards, and then it's your turn again. But of course, they may challenge you as normal.
Now, before moving on, we should probably discuss a rule that's often played incorrectly at every player count.
Yep.
After a draw 2 card is played, we know the next player draws 2 cards and their turn is skipped.
If the very next person to go also plays another draw 2 card, the normal rules are followed. The next player just takes 2 cards and has their turn skipped. Some people believe that playing draw 2 cards one after the other increases how many cards another player has to draw. Instead of taking 2, they're now forced to take an extra 4 or 8 cards. But this is not a rule from the game. It's just something people made up. So don't let anyone force you to take any extra cards beyond the usual 2, no matter how many draw 2 cards are played in a row.
That said, it's your game, so we're not going to stop you from playing that way if you want to, are we?
No, I guess not.
No. So remember, at the very start of any game, you flip the top card of the draw pile to begin the discard pile. But if it shows an action card, you must first stop and resolve it.
For example, if Rich is meant to be the first player and a skip is the first card revealed,
then my turn would be skipped and the next player goes.
If instead the first card revealed shows a draw 2 cards action,
as the person going first, I would draw 2 cards and then my turn would be skipped.
If a reverse card is revealed first, rather than Rich taking the first turn, the turn order is reversed with the dealer going and then turns continuing in counterclockwise order. And if a wild starts the game,
as the first player, I would decide what color it represents, and then I would take my turn as normal. Finally, if a wild draw 4 is revealed first, shuffle it back into the deck and draw a new card, repeating this as often as necessary until you don't get a wild draw 4 to start the game. With that, we now understand how all the cards work, and turns will continue around and around the table.
Keeping in mind how many cards you're holding should be easy for everyone to see.
Which is important because when you're about to play your next to last card, before it touches the discard pile, you are required to call out Uno. This lets everyone know that you have only one card remaining.
And you must say this. It's not just a cute little thing that we do.
No. Well, let's pretend that I forgot to say it.
If you fail to say Uno when you would only have one card left, you are now at risk of being caught for forgetting to say it. From that point on, until the next player either draws a card from the deck or plays a card from their hand, anyone at the table can call it the fact that you forgot to say Uno, and then you must draw 2 cards as a penalty.
If you don't say Uno, but no one notices until after the next person has drawn a card from the deck or played one from their hand, you don't suffer the penalty.
And you can also save yourself. If you forget to say Uno, but then remember, and say it before someone catches you, you're also safe from the penalty.
And you don't want to suffer that penalty and draw more cards, because if a player ever manages to play the last card they're holding, the game ends.
If the last card played would cause another player to draw cards, they must still take them, and then the game ends.
With the game over, every other person reveals the cards they're still holding and totals their values. All number cards are worth the values printed on them. Any draw 2, reverse, or skip is worth 20 points each, and wilds and wild draw 4s are each worth 50. The values of all the cards the other players were holding are totaled together, and the person who managed to get rid of all of their cards gains that value in points, which you should record on a piece of paper, or your phone, or whatever you have around.
Then all the cards are collected together, reshuffled, and a new game is played, again choosing a random dealer by drawing cards from the top of the deck.
And games will continue like this until someone reaches or exceeds a grand total of 500 points, making them the winner. Your version of Uno may also have some alternative rules for scoring, and if so, you'll find them in the rulebook, so check there in case you want to use them. But otherwise, that's everything you need to know to play Uno. If you have any questions about anything you saw here, feel free to put them in the comments below, and Rodney will gladly answer them as soon as he gets a chance.
I sure will. And thanks for doing this, Rich. That was a lot of fun. If you're interested in forums for discussion, pictures, other videos, and lots more, you'll find them for the game on Board Game Geek, which I'll put a link to in the description below. And if you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a like, subscribing, and clicking that little bell icon so you get notification anytime we post a new video. And if you'd like to support us directly, you can join our Patreon team, which I'll have linked below. But until next time, thanks for watching.